Blog Talk Radio.
Hey, my name's Courtney, and you're listening to the Dr. John Show on Blog Talk Radio. Very sexy.
Yes, you are. In today's show, we're going over conspiracy theories. And we're going to be going over some other stuff as well. So we're going to take just a moment here and
you're listening to the Dr. John Show on Blog Talk Radio. Very sexy.
And we're just checking the phone lines now to see if Whiskey's called in yet or whether Captain Jack has called in. We're going to be looking at a lot of conspiracy theories tonight. So try to have an open mind, and we're trying to provide a healthy room for debate. So please, if you have comments about these, feel free to call in. We want to provide a healthy debate free from attacks and people swearing and things like that. And we also want to provide a clear and impartial view to conspiracy theories and government cover-ups. We're going to be talking about a few of the things we're going to be talking about is the New World Order or alleged New World Order, depending on your point of view. The FDIC, or Federal Reserve Bank. We're going to be going into some newly released Hillary Clinton tapes that talk about her hiding $2 million from Peter Paul and some of the Marvel comic guys, and a bunch of other things. So we really hope you stick around. I apologize, I was just running in to check the phone lines and see if everybody was on, and then we had a tech issue that we recently resolved. So we're going to take just a second here, hopefully, and get everything up for you guys. Yeah, I wish I was joking here. We're doing a show on government conspiracies, and then lo and behold, none of our tech stuff is working. So we're going to get Captain Jack on the air right away, though. And Captain Jack, how you doing?
What's up, John? How are you?
I am great. I kid you not. The second I go to log in and get everything started, we had a huge tech issue, so I don't know what was going on there. But we're back now, and hopefully we'll be on the rest of the night. So you've got a pretty strong background in conspiracy theories and government cover-ups and things of that nature, and that's why we're calling you Captain Jack tonight. And also we're going to have Whiskey coming on, and that's obviously not his name either, but he's got some insight in there. And I'm going to post the link to the video room that we built today so that some of the viewers or listeners out there, depending on where you're listening from, can go ahead and see some of the videos that we're talking about today, and maybe you can listen to the show and see some of the videos in the background. All right, here. So you've got the link to the video rooms there, and then Captain Jack, did you get to see any of the videos of what we're talking about today, or at least their titles?
I read the titles. I was having processing problems with the computer I was using, so I couldn't get it to run properly, so I'll have to go off of just background experience tonight. Okay.
So, the first one I'd really like to dive into, if it's cool with you, is the New World Order. And this is a really big topic. But what's your background, or what do you know about the New World Order?
It depends on, you're talking about the official government order or the underground orders?
Either one.
Well, the simple fact of the matter is that the governments across the world are crumbling to some degree because of the financial situations, the crime rates, and the darker industries are kind of picking up a little bit and becoming their own kind of monopoly governments with its suburbs and whatnot. And also you have governments, tensions rising, like particularly between China and the Koreans and us and the Koreans, North Koreans and whatnot, since everything started with the whole financial situations with the powers. You find that the Middle East is picking up steam, and also Koreans are picking up steam. All these smaller nations that wouldn't, rise or pick a fight with us are now all of a sudden saying, no, hey, we got you. and things of that nature.
Okay. And you've got, there's a lot of groups here within, I mean, some call it the New World Order, some call it the Illuminati, but it consists of several different layers, and it reaches, you know, not just to the U.S. presidency, but also the monarchy, depending on where you're going. But one aspect of it is the Bilderberg Group, and then you've got United Nations alleged to be a part of that, and really it's a spider web of just different alliances. And for the people that are out there, what we're trying to do today is not say whether this exists, whether it doesn't, but just kind of bring proof to light and what actually can be proven. And if anybody's familiar with the video on YouTube that's got over about 8 million hits, we've added that to our website too. That's called the Obama Deception, and it talks about how he basically decepted everybody. And what we want to do today is provide an open forum and say, okay, well, what proof really exists, and what's really here, and have an open forum about it. If you'd like to join that discussion, you're certainly welcome to. We just ask that you keep it a healthy debate and not cuss anybody out or things like that. You can call in at 909-533-8302, and I'm going to bring on the line Jesse Hart.
Hello, how are we doing tonight?
We're doing good. We're diving into government conspiracies and the New World Order, and we've got Captain Jack on the line who's just started talking about the New World Order structure.
Awesome. How are we doing, Captain Jack?
I'm just fine. How are you doing?
I'm doing wonderful, thanks. Top of the morning to you.
Same to you.
Yeah, we got another author that actually emailed our show today, and he's like, you know, I'm a big fan of the show, and I'd like to come on. So I won't give out the name of his book yet, but I'll say a little bit bigger author than the last one we had on. I'm looking forward to getting that one on the air. But Captain Jack, I know you've got a lot of experience in the different areas of conspiracy theory and things like that. Which avenue, or can you say one avenue of conspiracy theory that might not be theory that has a little bit more proof than the other ones?
I would always go with the military on facts that you can back up is the easiest.
Okay. So are you saying, like, okay, when I think of that statement and you say the military, using the military to kind of back it up, here's what I would think, and you can definitely correct me if I'm wrong. What I would think is, if the military is going out and building DUMBs or deep underground military bases, then I would interpret that as they're preparing for something.
I would agree with that statement.
Because there's a lot of people that will reach over and, in my opinion, grasp at straws and say that the DUMBs are preparing for 2012, but that can't be entirely true, because those bases started being constructed, at least to our knowledge, in about the 70s. So I mean, they could be for that, but I don't think that's what they're for.
No,
There's even certain.
Go ahead. Oh,
You're all so polite.
Well, you know, I try. You always gotta have the lady, you know. But well, the bunkers that you're talking about, I actually, from where I'm located at, there's actually a couple being built fairly near to where I am. But no, I understand what you're saying. You know, it does, especially in this supercharged climate of, you know, everybody's thinking the end's coming and whatnot. There is a lot of charge to research. You'll find that a lot of people are more researching now than they did 10 years ago on stuff like that, because everybody thinks, oh my goodness, 2012 is next year. Are we all going to die, or aren't we? It's, you know, and they're naturally going, well, if anybody would know, the government would know. And then they're like, well, if they're building these bunkers, what are they for? And truth to be told, I don't claim to know what they're for, because nobody knows, but they are building several bunkers, and they have been building them. I actually think they've been building them since before the 60s, but I don't exactly know how long they go back. But I know the ones in this area were built and are being built around 10 years ago on up. And, yeah, I just want to interject that a lot of people, like you said, John, is that people will speculate and point fingers, but the honest thing is we have to stick to the facts. And the facts are there are bunkers being built. We don't know what they're for, and we won't claim anything other than that. And that's also why I said the military earlier is the easiest to track, simply because they deal with things that have to be under wraps. If you know, undercover missile launchings, things like that, they get noticed. And it's kind of hard for them to say, oh, it was a weather balloon or it was a satellite. It just has the more physical evidence because they deal with the stuff that is just harder to cover up, if you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, and then most recently you've got, I want to get the exact date of it here, you've got the Doomsday Vault for World Peace is open in the Arctic Mountain. This is in Greenland. I'm sure you probably heard of it. There's over 5 million different seeds in there. Or excuse me, there's 100 million different seeds in 268,000 boxes, and they're stored below freezing. And this was just recently built. This is February 27th, 2008. ABC reported that this vault had just been built. It's pretty much like if you want a tomato seed, an apple seed, a lemon tree, orange tree, whatever, all the seeds are in there.
Right,
Yeah,
to restart civilization, basically.
Yeah, that's a good call. They're also calling it the Noah's Ark of seeds.
Right.
So I don't know. Do you?
Well, I think they're, I don't know. I think they're preparing for something. It could be they just want an archive of these seeds for future reference, but that's highly unlikely,
Yeah. No, and I think when you Blake, you make an excellent point about going into facts. When you look at the facts, a lot of people don't even know that the moon was created by a meteor basically hitting the Earth. And that's one fact, and that maybe that's another doomsday scenario they're looking at.
There's several different doomsday scenarios, though. I mean, they're all kind of in relation with each other, but, there's so many different theories out there. It's which one do you have to look at the facts on each and every one of them, but, there's so many different ones out there.
Yeah, maybe that's half the point, too, is if you create so many theories and so many different things that could be garbage, it's like it's hard to pick out what really is and what's not. But
right.
I did run the list. Oh yeah, that's prophecy. I think there's definitely a couple different columns. There's government conspiracy, there's prophecy, and then there's government cover-up. And I think that's the primary distinction and kind of what I wanted to roll into today is, where can we cut the lines and what can we prove? And I suppose in a lot of cases, even if you look at when people are talking about the Illuminati being the banking and money group and international money banking centers, the World Bank, and then you've got secret societies of Freemasons, Skull and Bones, Grand Orient. Unless you've got a whole stack of paperwork, there's no really way to definitively say, okay, this is what's just theory and this is what's fact.
Right. You can point out very factual information that is beyond a reasonable doubt, but somebody or something will come along and completely throw a wrench in the reasoning and can change somebody's whole process of thinking as well, or cover it up, or lie, or,
Yeah, speaking of cover-ups and lies, I had one of the videos that we uploaded today was Hillary Clinton burying $2 million in contributions from Stan Lee and Peter Paul over there at Marvel Comics. They had done a huge contribution to her campaign when she was running for senator, and then it wasn't acknowledged on any of her, I don't know, what do you call it, expenditures or reports that she puts out. So I guess in that instance, that's one area you can prove. That case is in the California federal courts right now. But the last judge that they had was actually a judge that Hillary Clinton allegedly was pretty close to. So even then, it's like, even if you have the proof, if these people have good enough connections, you're not even going to be able to prove it.
Right. Well, why was she hiding that anyway? Something so stupid, I guess, kind of, sort of.
Well, I don't know whether it was, I can't speculate whether it was to personally pocket the money or what it was, but she violated several laws up to and including when she recruited Cher for one of her performances. The way in which she recruited her and paid for her to be on the show supposedly was a violation of campaign law.
Okay.
So I don't know. In thinking about it, I don't know. Blake, is there any ones that you can prove or can't prove?
Well, I'm Jack.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
I got 5 names written down for you today. So your next
Which
one's
one
Bob.
is your real name?
One of them. What were you saying, John? Sorry, I got sidetracked.
Oh, no, it's cool. I'm saying, is there any of them that you can prove, Bob, or is there, I don't know, or are we just left to pretty much speculate about them all?
Well, the simple fact of the matter is this. If you want the honest truth, if you ask anybody who's had proof, they had it, and then black men in suits came, flashed their badges, and it got taken away. Or you don't see or hear from them again.
Oh, wow. Let's take one moment here. For some reason, all of our phone lines are lit up, so I'm going to take this one. I'm thinking it's Whiskey. Whiskey, you there?
Hey, what's going on, Dr. John?
Hey, I got to warn you, I have a name sheet of like 10 names written down for people because they didn't want to be called their names, so if by chance I call you the wrong name, I apologize. I'm trying to keep everybody's anonymity going.
Oh, it's a conspiracy.
And then I'm going to really quick bring on 541. You're on the Dr. John Show.
Oh, hey, what's up? This is Space Poet.
Oh, hey, how's it going?
All right. How's everything going with y'all?
It's going good.
Yeah, Illuminati, space aliens, I think they probably exist, but it's like the evidence is always so vague, and, what can you really do about it in the end, Sort of like kind of has to play itself out in some sense, I suppose.
Yeah, you mean kind of like the Egypt crisis where once it's all gone down, then we can revolt as a people, hopefully?
Well, I don't know about that, but I think what's interesting is, like, where we're headed right now as a society with, if you think about 50 years into the future and so on, there's going to be lots of robots out there, that'll be able to do to be able to do jobs of middle-class Americans, upper-middle-class Americans, lower-class Americans. And then you also have a thing called, I don't know if you've ever heard about this, but they're talking about like a new race. It's called Homo evolutus. And they were talking about as things start to become, as they do all these things with the genetics and the biology and the robots and everything, how there'll be like this sort of rift between like regular humans and then humans that have been genetically altered so that their hearing is better, all sorts of things like this. So, I can't prove Illuminati and all of that sort of thing, but, you can look into the future as far as science is concerned and ask yourself those questions and, how are we going to relate to that, and how is the world going to change?
Sure. So when you talk about facts and things like that, do you feel like mind control is something that you can prove with the HARP project, or?
Well, people talk about, like, MK Ultra and all that. I mean, I think that's all these things are pretty simple to answer. I mean, does the military do experiments? Yes. Is mind control an option? Yeah, I'm sure it is. What's that movie? The Manchurian, what's the one with like a
Manchurian Candidate, yeah.
Yeah. That, and then, they experiment with LSD for mind control. I mean, the Russians have lots of, like, psychic stuff that they've experimented with and remote viewing and all that stuff. I mean, I think that stuff is definitely out there and exists, and definitely something to it,
Yeah, and I think, one of the big things is people might say if there was proof out there and things like that, YouTube would be a great way to get it out, or there's other places. But the problem is once you get big enough, whether your Facebook or whether your YouTube, you can bet that the government has a big stake in it. I know that Google especially has a big stake in government stuff, and they recently, well, maybe not so recently now, but a couple years back purchased YouTube. So I don't know. I think even because that was one of our primary sources of power, if you will, was that we could disseminate information and get it across really quickly, sometimes in a bad way because it was inaccurate information or it was just a bunch of crap or people trying to make funny videos. But the problem is now that, according to what I've seen, if there's credible information, especially like the WikiLeaks stuff they were trying to get, they'll just shut the site down or not let the stuff be uploaded anymore. So what I'm trying to say is our public accesses like YouTube and things like that very shortly, I would imagine, are going to be even more controlled, where conspiracy theories and things like that may not even be allowed on there anymore.
It's their way of controlling everything.
We'll go to the phone lines here. I don't know what this one is, but I'm just going to call it anonymous. So if you called in via Skype or something like that, we'll pop you on and see who you are. All right, I'm not sure who this is, so caller, you're on the air with Dr. John. I have no idea who this is.
Yeah.
All right, well, we're gonna.
Hello.
Hello.
Hey, who's this?
Yeah, this is Gunslinger 1964 in the chat room.
Oh, okay. Were you just trying to listen in?
I can hear
I'm
you
at
back.
there. If you don't mind.
All right, you go ahead and hang out. If you did want to come on the air, just go ahead and press 1 on your phone, and we'll see your hand raise up, and we can get you back on the air. There's just too much feedback for us to take you on now. All right, Whiskey, I'm sorry to leave you hanging there. What are your views on the whole conspiracy theory thing?
Well, I kind of got in. I've been moving here for a little bit, so I'm completely in the Stone Ages with technology. I lost my phone charger, so I'm hoping my phone doesn't die. I do not have internet. I have nothing. I feel like it's 1980.
Oh wow.
So I'm going off of the cuff here, but yeah, listening to I thought it was kind of cool when you got. I'm not sure if it would be considered conspiracy theory, but I was really intrigued about a week and a half ago when they had that robot go against those two winningest contestants on Jeopardy and just wound up schooling them. And so now you got these robots that are able to think that way, and I've been seeing a lot about how the technology of robots and how they've been able to move, and it used to be a while ago they'd say that they talk about robots taking over the world, but it's so crazy because robots and their mobility is so unadvanced that's just a ridiculous thought. But the advancements I've seen in that recently is absolutely just getting off the charts. Like you see, like with the new form of like the gyroscopes and stuff that you see that give them this phenomenal center of balance. Where like I've seen like this like a robotic, what looked kind of like a horse, and somebody would come and just do like a side kick as hard as they could, and the thing would just kind of lean to one side and come back up. And then the communication it has to itself, where they'd stick it like a robot in a maze, and it would go through the maze, and it would take a while to get through the maze, but once it would get through the maze, the next time it would be able to do it considerably faster, and even be able to go to another robot and somehow in its own language communicate with that robot, and then the other robot would be able to do the maze and be aware of all the faults that the other one did and be able to get through the maze a lot quicker as well. And so with all this stuff kind of coming together, you kind of wonder like how realistic is a futuristic what am I thinking of here with Arnold Schwarzenegger?
Like
with all the robots.
Terminator.
Huh? Yeah, Terminator. Where is that like a realistic scenario here, where we're looking back to like the year 2011, where the robot beat the two people in Jeopardy, and we're sending somebody back to kill the person who created that robot, because that was when it all started. You know, I mean, it's really starting to get kind of creepy how these robots and the technology of robots that people are even iRobot or whatever that was, where you make them all to be our servants. And I'm not sure that's a conspiracy theory, but it's another way to look at the direction that humanity is going, because I'm not sure what his name was, but mentioned about how they're coming up with a different form of a Homo sapien. I can't remember what he called it, but so
Homo
kind
evolutus.
Yeah, it was kind of a play off of that, and like pretty soon it'll be Homo robotic or something to that nature.
Well, there's a very real project called the Venus Project, and what it basically states is that there is an Illuminati in their opinion, and there is, the Federal Reserve is basically making everybody slaves, and so is the monarchy, and that with the use of robots, there would never be a need for basically anyone to work ever again. We could still do things and, play and enjoy our time and things like that, but with the use of robots...
There's certain jobs I don't think that, every robot could efficiently perform possibly better than a human, I wouldn't want a robot cutting my hair or...
Yeah, but there's lots of jobs like you wouldn't think, like if you consider like the upper echelon of people that, like, say traders that work for Goldman Sachs or something. They said that they did this one experiment and these robots traded 6% better than some of these top traders. So it's like, they're going to get to the point where these robots are going to be able to do, these really sophisticated jobs. So that's what I was saying.
Sophisticated where there's analytical thinking or processing or maybe some extreme problem solving, but as far as, and that's a very small percentage, I think, of, the human workforce.
I struggle to think that a robot can build a car, but it can't do a haircut, or it can be, a virtual doctor, but it can't do a haircut. I think eventually you could even go in and get your hair cut by one. But I think you do make a great point in that with haircutting and art and things like that, those are fields that
any creativity,
can't really get. Yeah, no creativity.
Or a masseuse, you can't get your, go in and get a nice deep tissue massage by some hard, cold metal fingers.
This is true. We've got a question on the air. It just says unknown, but we'll go ahead and take it. Unknown caller, you're on the air with the Dr. John Show.
Yeah, can you hear me okay now?
Yep, we can hear you.
Okay, this is Gunslinger 1964 in the chat room. I just had a comment. I was sitting here listening to your conspiracy theory. Any time that you have a government that covers up anything and not be truthful to the people that the government is supposedly to serve, take, for example, 9/11, take the Iraq War, any war for that matter. Every war has been a conspiracy. It's been a cover-up. Take Oklahoma City. Take Waco, Texas. Take Ruby Ridge. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. And for people not to believe that they can trust their government to be honest, give me a break. Every time a politician opens his mouth, he's lying. And politicians make up the government. Okay? I don't care if it's on the federal level. I don't care if it's on the state level or your local dog catcher. So you're absolutely correct. I'm agreeing with you 100% because I've seen it. I was at Waco, so I know the kind of cover-up that they did down there. Okay? And that's just a minute thing of all the atrocities that have been committed by this so-called government. I mean, they're committing felonies at every second of the day, every day of the week for that matter. Bam Bam don't have his legal birth certificate. I mean, the list goes on. The list never ends. It's 10,000 miles long. So, in Area 51, for example, don't exist, but it's there. What do they do? What is it, 18 stories below the ground? These FEMA camps, these underground bases that you were mentioning a while ago. In fact, I'm sitting on one right now. I live in Ellis County, Texas. That's about 22 miles south of downtown Dallas. And remember years back, a few years ago, they was going to build this super collider here in Texas. Well, brother, I'm sitting right on top of it. Okay?
Wow.
But they never did finish it. Did they fill that hole in? Hell no. They're using these so-called bases or whatever for something that they're planning to do. You can go and put in YouTube boring machines, And they actually are proud of these things. They show this huge nuclear-powered, for God's sakes. It's got an Air Force emblem on it, and it tunnels under the ground at an ungodly amount of rate that you could drive an 18-wheeler through. Why are they doing all this? What are they planning that they don't want me and you to find out about? Back to you.
I've heard theories ranging everything from it's to prepare for Armageddon to another theory that stated that they're gonna, if there's a biological attack, they're gonna shut the doors on anyone that they don't seem fit or that's not of the military isn't going to be allowed access to them. I mean, I've heard wide-ranging theories, but I agree with you. If they're building them and they're continually doing this, and it's been going on since the 70s, they're probably used for something, and they're probably networked somehow, whether it be by light rail or some other means. There's probably a mode of transportation through there. Because I often thought about it a long time back, how even though there's controlled airspace over the White House, that he probably, or he, the president, would never leave through Air Force One or Eagle One, depending if they take the chopper or the plane, and that there's got to be an underground system. And then lo and behold, there is a tram that runs under the White House that is basically a bullet train and can zip you out of the White House. So I don't know. It depends.
Yeah, I think there's many different escape routes for the president from wherever he's at all times.
Oh no, that's a given. But I'm saying just in terms of the White House, the main one that I know about is the high-speed tram that's under it.
Can I make a comment?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. If you'll go to YouTube and put in mass graves in Houston, Texas. I'm 265 miles from Houston. They show these huge containers, well, not necessarily huge, a lot of them, that are buried out in this field, okay, and it's right outside of Houston, Texas. They look like coffins, okay? They're airtight, they're numbered, they're stacked on top of each other and in rows, and they're only buried just a few inches below the ground. It shows them that the big, huge pits that they're burying them in, they show them sitting up on the ground, ready for them to be buried. Okay. And I guarantee you could probably put at least, God knows, probably 100,000 people in that one, if you stack them on top of each other. And you can see proof of it. It's right, full color video. And that's just only one of the places throughout the country that this kind of craziness is going on. So they're either planning for, like you said, 2012 or a biohazard, 30 bombs.
So are you talking about the crypts at Houston Memorial Cemetery?
No, this is not a cemetery. No. This is outside. Just put in mass graves in Houston, Texas, and it will show a video. This guy went out there with a video camera. I'm surprised he would even be able to get into it. But these are huge, like coffins, basically. And they're only buried just a few inches below the ground, okay? And they got big, huge pits out there like a trash or a landfill. And these things are just nice and lined up.
Yeah, there's another one in there's another video of it in Chicago. It says that FEMA and DHS are preparing for mass graves in martial law near Chicago.
Exactly. So what are they preparing for? Are they preparing for Planet X? Another conspiracy, probably. Like I said, biohazard throughout the entire country? Now, I could see in an isolated place a biohazard or a dirty bomb or nuke or whatever. But all across this country? What are they planning? And all, just like you mentioned earlier about the seeds. Look up Monsanto, okay? The genetically modified seeds. They are doing this on purpose to make Terminator seeds. Seeds that don't reproduce. They have to buy their seeds. The farmers have to buy their seeds. I mean, this is crazy. You call this a conspiracy? This is a fact. Okay. I would say if your name was Jack, I said, this is a fact, Jack. Fact is.
Yeah, you raise a lot of interesting points, and I know that Iron Mountain recently got a mass collection together too. So I don't remember what even the term was for the seed thing, but it was passed. I want to say 2 years ago. There was an actual law that was passed on seeds, and I don't have it in front of me, but I could look it up.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Well, yeah, you're absolutely correct. All these bases across that are supposedly underground, I got two of them that I can show you right now, right outside of Dallas, Texas. One's over here called Cedar Hill, Texas. Okay, it's got an underground FEMA base. There's one at the airport up here in Dallas, used to be called Redbird Airport. It's got an underground FEMA base because I've seen troops go into that joker. Okay, and when you try to say this one out here on Cedar Hill, it's a big, hill. It's not a mountain. It's where all the communication towers for the radio stations and TV stations are located at. But there's something going on under there because I've heard reports of people being chased away by black helicopters. And for example, look at Area 51. You can't get within 15 miles of that place unless you see black helicopters that supposedly don't exist. They'll come out there and chase your ass all over the place out there.
Well,
so
I think
something to this.
I wonder what your opinion is on with things, especially like Area 51, with so much public focus. Is there any chance that Area 51 is just there for a distraction, kind of to sit there and distract us? I mean, I know the people are privately chartered in, and I know that it's not government owned and things like that. But I wonder why would they still use it if it's so publicly known? Is it just because it's such a well-built facility, or because there's got to be other places they could go?
Oh, yeah, absolutely correct. That's probably just a diversion, okay, that, we got this, Area 51's out there, and, we do a little experimentation and all this garbage, but they're not telling you about what's really going on. You've heard the old saying, where there's smoke, there's fire, and that's exactly a good example. There's the smoke screen, Area 51, so where's the fire at? It's not going to be around there. But I'm sure there's no telling. They could be operating on some type of alien technology. Okay, mankind cannot say that we are not alone in this universe, okay, because it's too damn big. All right?
Yeah.
So something, I don't care if you call them demons, I don't care if you call them ETs, little green men, Martians, I don't care what it is. There's something more to it than meets the eye here, okay? Because if it wasn't, why would they be building all this stuff? It's an interesting theory.
That's interesting too, because I was like on C-SPAN, and I think former President Clinton was talking about how he got into the office and he wanted to know about, are there aliens or whatever, and he was saying like he really couldn't get too far about it because he didn't even have the clearance. So it's like it's such a machine that these politicians that get into office, they don't even have the clearance to find out what's going on. You know what I mean? So that's an interesting aspect as well.
Well, with the big buzz, I don't know if you've heard in the news, those scientists that had recently dug into one of these meteorites that I believe there's only like 3 of them on the entire planet.
With some life.
But they found life in one of these meteorites that they believe is alien that had dropped on here, and while they were digging around inside of it, found a form of some life form inside of there, and they're trying to do and get their reports all up, and they got like 500 different scientists from all over the place to come and try and debunk what they have found. But they had a picture of it on TV. I think I can't remember where these scientists were from. I don't think it was MIT. But, they said that they dug into a meteorite and had found a form of life. I don't think it was living, but it was inside of the meteorite.
We've got a caller that's calling in to ask a question really quick here, so I'm going to see if I can get him on. 936, you're on the air with Dr. John.
Yes, Dr. John, this is the Reverend Leroy Dogood here live on the prayer line. How you doing tonight there, Dr. John?
We are doing great, Reverend. We're doing a show on conspiracy theories, and we've got kind of a packed house today, so I hope that you are definitely enjoying the show.
Well, yes, we are definitely enjoying the show. I was just telling all of my listeners about the great vaginal healing that we saw on last night's show. Great vaginal healing. That's right.
Oh, Lordy.
Hey, John, what do you think of, a lot of people think that he's kind of a kook, but Jesse Ventura and his conspiracy theories.
You are really badass. You know why? I just added one of his videos today, and I happen to know a couple of friends of Jesse's, and he's really gone out on a limb, and he, for all the hype and all the showmanship, when you actually listen to what the man is saying, he blows people out of the water, and he can fucking argue.
Right, and I'm looking at it on YouTube, all the different conspiracy theories that he talks about, just as we were. He talks about Area 51, everything. I mean, the Manchurian deal, the Gulf War, HARP, everything. He's got an opinion on everything, and it's pretty crazy.
And it's another example. He's a prime example. If you get to be a public figure and you speak out about this stuff, they'll literally just smear your name, because a lot of news media stations and things like that controlled by the government have ran a really good smear campaign on him, calling him nuts, and he had the IRS after him for a while.
He made his own statement, which I don't believe he was ever wrong for saying that, how the media portrays people. He had every right to say something like that. Does that make him crazy? No, that's his opinion. Why they made such a big deal about it and, kind of turned it around to make it look like he had bad character is kind of silly. That was the whole thing. He did a lot for this. He did a lot for the state of Minnesota, in my opinion. But, he was the first election I went out to actually go vote.
Oh, awesome. Yeah, we're getting a little bit of feedback on one of the lines, so I'm going to try and mute a couple of the mics here that are open and see if I can't catch it. But if you do have your radio turned up or your phone turned up, please try and cancel out the volume that's coming back from the show. That would be awesome. But I want to also bring up, see if he's still in here. Yeah, Gunslinger, because you've made just a ton of great points, and see if there was any other areas that you wanted to touch on tonight.
Well, yeah, there's lots of areas. I mean, I could talk about conspiracy for the next 2 or 3 days.
No, sure. And I was just going to ask one really quick question, if I could, because you seem really knowledgeable on this stuff, and that is, how does one person get to the bottom of things? I mean, beyond YouTube and beyond all that and writing our politicians who aren't going to do anything, how do we actually discover the truth?
That's going to be a very sticky question right there. It's going to take more than just one person to do it, okay, because one person cannot take these idiots on. It's going to have to be a mutual cooperation all across this country. America is going to have to stand up and say, look, we've had enough of your BS. We've had enough of your cover-ups. Now it's time to come clean, or else. Just like I love bringing this up, that back in 1776, we gave you chance after chance. We asked you nicely, but what did you do? Did it register in that brown matter or that gray matter between your ears? Obviously it didn't. Now we're going to do it by force, unfortunately. Here's another theory for you right here as well. Back in the late 1900s, I believe it was, we had a guy called Tesla, okay? Go Google him if you don't know who he is. He was one of the, in my opinion, one of the world's greatest minds in the electrical research theory field, that type of deal, physics and all that good stuff. All right, now, we all know what he discovered. All right, he had discovered the death ray. He discovered the AC theory, the AC motor theory. Well, we have the AC distribution system today. I know because I'm a master electrician by trade. Okay, now, he died a pauper in a hotel room, okay? Now, upon his death, the government came in and seized all of his research papers, his ideas, his patents, the whole 9 yards. He actually had a working tower that he was fixing to provide free energy for the entire world. Yes, you heard me right. Free energy for the entire world. You never would have to pay another electric bill as long as you live, because there is naturally occurring electricity outside right now. In your room, where you're sitting at your computer right now, there's electrical field that's surrounding you right now. Okay, now, after he died, they came in, seized everything, tore his tower down. He already had one built. Okay, the whole 9 yards. Now, here's the clincher. Do you honestly think that with all the discoveries that Nikola Tesla did, after the government seized all this stuff, do you think they set that in a box on a back shelf in a dusty old warehouse and just forgot about it?
Yeah, no. Didn't he also work with a gravity engine too?
Yes.
He did a lot of stuff.
Oh yeah, he did all kinds of stuff. I mean, you could just read the different things that he discovered, and it actually, well, you'd take and fall back in it. So, as corrupt and as money hungry and power hungry that the government is today and was then, or they haven't changed, don't you think that the government bigwigs and the scientists and all them idiots they have up there, like Area 51, for example, they took his research, and they've been working on it ever since. They did not give up on that. Now, that's why you see this anti-gravity plane or whatever that floats around and all this other weird lights in the sky at night, especially over Area 51. So all of this technology that we have today is basically based on Tesla technology. For example, the cell phone that you have probably laying on your desk right now. Okay, that was a radio phone. That's all they are. Like they had radio phones pre-World War I. Okay, called ham radio. So
you dial into a repeater and
technology. Right, exactly. So all they've gotten was more compact, obviously, than a big old, radio piece of equipment that would take up your whole desk and all the associated equipment that goes along with it. So you can see that just in that short time, and it's not really been that long, 75 years, somewhere in there, how this stuff has progressed. And from that technology, you're seeing what you're seeing today, which what you're seeing today is at least 50 years old. They had that stuff back in World War II, okay? Everything you see today, the microwave oven, for example, everybody thinks it's a glorious new thing. Okay, it's been around since World War II because during the World War II they discovered radar. Well, what's a microwave oven? It just operates on a different frequency band. So you see the correlation of these events that has gone on through history. Okay. And do you think because the government is so power-hungry and wants to control everything, that's just not the only thing they're working on? Particle beam weapons. Tesla's death rate, you think that just ended right there? Reagan got his little deal with the Star Wars technology that he wanted to push through. All of a sudden, you never heard anything else from it. Now, when they stop doing something like that, you know they have it somewhere. Take 9/11, for example. Two buildings like that just don't go poof, I'm sorry, and blow away in the wind. They defied the laws of gravity. You cannot defy the laws of gravity. The only two ways you can, if you're God, obviously, you can defy the laws of gravity. Or if man invents something to temporarily, even for a few seconds, neutralize the force of gravity, or what they claim here is molecular disassociation. Okay, go look up that term and you'll see, wow, that building just came apart. Molecular disassociation. So you see, there's so many unanswered questions about that. 9/11, Oklahoma City, Pentagon, the whole 9 yards, is really ridiculous. But they have an agenda to do this. Why? I have no idea. I mean, they got to live on this. Well, maybe not. You hear this conspiracy theory about moon bases and all this good stuff. I would not be a bit surprised if they don't have a moon base. Why haven't we been back to the moon? If we're so great on this space technology and oh, we're going to be out there with the stars. So why the hell man hasn't been back to the moon since 1969?
There was actually Captain Jack, you had a space video from Patrick Stewart. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I still have it.
Okay, the Patrick Stewart video that you have there, it talks about moon bases, and it's actually like a PBS special, so it's not conspiracy theories, and they interview a company in Japan who says that they're going to build one. This is in 94, 96, so I would wager that they definitely already have the bases set up. And that might be what they use to kind of... Oh, I apologize. I was just going to say that I think that might be what they're using to kind of, blackmail people, if you will. Say, hey, we've already got the ability to nuke you from space because it's gonna cut a lot of travel time down on missiles.
Save a lot of money too.
Oh yeah.
But anyway, here's another point. They got this Hubble Space Telescope. Spent what? Hundreds of millions of dollars on when they put that thing up there. This thing is supposed to see billions of light years into the universe and all this garbage, okay? But NASA, you know what NASA stands for, never a straight answer, absolutely refuses to turn that Hubble Space Telescope, and all it would be, they just have to enter a few things on a keyboard on a computer and take a picture of the moon, the surface of the moon, and show the world, hey, our stuff is up there, see? Why won't they do it? Could it be that they never did go up there? Could it be that they're hiding, like you said, a moon base? I mean, these are not far-fetched, crazy, off-the-wall, crazy person's idea. When you really think about it, because they want to just grasp everything that they can possibly get. For what reason? Money, power, control. Who knows? It's human nature. Especially when you got it in the hands of these idiots that's supposed to be controlling or supposed to be running this government or so-called government, because it's not really a government anymore. So
well,
you
there
can
was
see
such
that. I mean, go ahead.
There was such a race against Russia to show who was superiority on the planet Earth. So there was this race, and that's when Kennedy claimed that we would have somebody on. We would land on the moon by 1970, and I believe it was like 1 year before that we made it up there, and we got there before Russia. So very well they could have gone into a movie studio and said, "Holy crap, we are not gonna make the deadline we said. The people are going to lose faith in us." That was back when they had everybody. They were able to spoon feed everybody with the information that they wanted them to have because of the mass technology wasn't there yet. And if Russia would have gotten to the moon first, they would have had they would have been up there first. And oh my God, they're the ones looking down at us. So they very well could have, because they showed that footage up there of like shadows that crisscross each other when there's only one source of light. Yet they showed in some of that footage of like them up there, and they filmed it, of like shadows that kind of crisscrossed, and the first time they did it, the first time they got up there, the first time they went through that atmosphere, the first time they landed their spacecraft on the moon was all perfectly perfect. And the first time the doors opened and they hopped down and just kind of bounced around on the ground, and there wasn't even a single hiccup as they just kind of floated around. Seems a little bit too perfect. I'd hate to think that they did make something like that up, and there's just this long-running joke that certain people are laughing about, but there's so many things that just don't seem like it is possible to do in one quick run. And then, like you were saying, why would they, yep, okay, we touched the ground of the moon, we are done. We will never come back here again. They didn't investigate anything underneath the top soil. They didn't look around at any other spots on the moon. They didn't go any other places in land. Yet they're trying to send these little probes out to Mars and just survey the hell out of that by driving all over the place with Land Rovers, but yet they go to the moon, they hop down, they touch it, they crawl back in their ship, and they fly away and never go back. So there is something weird about that whole moon landing thing.
Well, yeah, and I don't have any doubt in my mind that we've gone back since, but there's a lot of prominent scientists that say there's a radiation belt that you can't even survive to go through the moon.
Yeah, well, you brought up a very good point there, called the Van Allen radiation belts. Now they say, well, the space station's up there. Yeah, that's true, but the Van Allen radiation belts, there's more than one, does not start till like 1,000 miles out. Okay, that's way out there. Okay, and the radiation is so intense that using 1969 technology, there's no way in hell that a little bitty ship like that what do you call it, the little ship they went out there in, could survive. Oh, the ship might survive, but there would be nobody inside by the time it got there because you'd be dead because of the radiation exposure. Now, say they did go through this Van Allen radiation belt. I don't think they did, but let's just say for, giggles and grins. Okay, now you've seen probably some of the video, and it's probably still on YouTube. You probably have to look. That, that little four-wheel drive little vehicle that they showed, driving around, on the surface of the moon, it's a cute little vehicle there. This thing is four-wheel drive, okay? Now, if you have any experience, if you go off-roading in a four-wheel drive here on Earth, you will see what we call, and I used to do it in my younger days all the time, you would see what you call a rooster tail coming up from the wheels, especially if you go through sand or mud, stuff like that. Now, it shows this little vehicle, they just happily driving around, but if you look at the back tires, you'll see this little rooster tail kick up and immediately fall to the ground. Now, the moon is supposed to have 1/3 less gravity, right? The moon's surface is supposed to be a fine powder. There would be a fog cloud behind that little vehicle for 400 or 500 feet back, as that dust particles just sit there and float in the air. But there was none.
Yeah.
The rooster tail, when it kicked up, it fell right back down to the ground. That proves 100% gravity, just like it is here on the Earth. Now, when that little lander thing or whatever they showed was landing, it was coming down. Okay, most people probably don't understand this, but there was a rocket engine under that little lander, okay? It produced 1,800 pounds of thrust. That supposedly it was, to slow it down so it could set down. Okay, where is the blast crater? You stand in front of an 1,800-pound thrust rocket, and it's going to dig you about 10 feet in the ground. And this thing is supposed to be fine powder, the surface of the moon. Where'd all the dust go? Why is the landing feet, them big round feet that they showed, why is there no dust on it? What they do, take a big old shot back up there and suck it all off before they got out and took the pictures? So there's so many things that doesn't make any sense, that doesn't make physical sense, that would occur here if that was, set up at, say, Area 51, for example. What they can do with technology and how they can make things appear one way and they're actually the other way. So, and when they opened the door and they started climbing down the ladder, somebody had to get out there and put that camera out, okay? And they showed it coming down. Well, how did the camera get up there? How'd they do that? And on top of that, remember, it's not like Earth environment here. It gets freezing-ass cold at night, and it gets burning hot during the day. And they have these cameras made by Bell & Howell, a very old company, mounted on their chest, okay? Now, it's got radiation, it's got heat, and it's got cold. An unexposed, unprotected camera out on the outer part of their spacesuit, number one, the film would melt, or number two, the film would freeze. But it's a perfectly clear picture.
Yeah, and do we even have I know that, like, let's say back in the 1980s or 1990s, it used to take, 3-4 minutes for one picture to go live on the Internet. So I'm just wondering, did we even have the technology to send all that video at that time?
I doubt, because, you're transmitting through an AM signal, okay? Now, if you ever was into ham radio or CB radio or whatever like that, you'll probably heard of a Gizmonti beam antenna. Supposedly, NASA developed this beam antenna to talk from Earth to the moon. Okay, you're only transmitting AM bandwidth, which is amplitude modulation. FM is frequency modulation. So you've got this huge radiation field out there between the Earth and the Moon. So, well, this signal has to shoot through this radiation belt. Radiation disrupts AM and FM signals. Just like going under a bridge. Turn your car radio to an AM station and go under a bridge. Why does it stops? You can't hear anything. Well, because the bridge is blocking it. So take the radiation belt, in example of the bridge. Okay, where'd the signal go? The signal would be totally distorted. You wouldn't be able to make heads or tails of it by the time it got from the Earth to the Moon, or from the Moon to the Earth. There's no.
Well, yeah, and when you just look at how technology evolved in 1990, we barely had the technology to make good cell phone calls and things like that. So, I mean, I'm pretty familiar with ham radio technology, and I still struggle to think that we, without any type of repeater or anything, how we would have, accomplished that.
Well, exactly. That's what ham radio is, because even they would have to have some type of elaborate setup, because it's just like the satellites that are out there right now. Go Google Earth and look at the satellites. Got thousands of them out there. Now, in satellite communication, you have what you call line of sight. If you wanted a satellite that is above the United States and you wanted to talk to, say, the other side of the world, and they have a satellite positioned up in geosynchronous orbit, okay, those two satellites cannot talk to each other. Number one reason is because they're not line of sight. You would have to have a third, just like you said, a repeater satellite to shoot the signal from the United States to the repeater, and from the repeater down to the other side of the world through that satellite. Follow what I'm saying? It's really simple.
Yeah, absolutely.
So with the Earth spinning and it's moving and the Moon is turning on its axis and orbit and all that good stuff, there would be no way to theoretically line up perfectly a line of sight. So how'd the signal get there?
Well, we'll
there's
some.
A pretty good answer. Right.
We'll definitely get some videos about that on our site, and I want to, since we only have 20 minutes left, see if we can touch on some other topics and see if anybody has some opinions about these. I guess one would be, either the NWO. We've got a video that we just put up about that, or if anyone wants to go into the Federal Reserve and how it's not a government entity and how they kind of are structured, that would be cool. Or any other conspiracy theories that are out there, that would be awesome.
Well, we talked about JFK. There's a conspiracy theory right there, because he went against the New World Order, aka bankers, aka mob, and look what he got. I can take you to the spot right here in Dallas, Texas, where they blew his head off. And there's no way, if you know anything about ballistics or weaponry, that a guy up in that school depository building, there's no way that he could have a shot. Now, diversionary, yes. The ones I've heard, they were had 3 or 4 snipers around. It was definitely snipers. It was definitely a CIA coloration, okay? Because I don't care what position you're sitting in a limo. I don't care what position you're in the driver's seat, passenger, back seat. It doesn't matter. When you get shot in the back of the head, you will go forward because of the momentum of that projectile hitting you in the back of the head, okay? Now, autopsy photos revealed that the back half of his head was blown off. That doesn't happen. He had to be shot from the front in order for his head to go back like that.
Yeah, that seems to be so ridiculously obvious that I don't understand why nobody ever makes that observation when they look at that he supposedly gets shot from behind and the back of his head blows off. And I guess I just sit there and watch that and wonder why nobody even says anything about that and why there's such that just seems like just basic common sense. You don't need to take the strings and map everybody's guns and positions out. You just got to know that if you get shot in the back, your head's not going to blow out backwards.
That's exactly correct. And also there's YouTube video, the old video of him turning when the motor convoy or whatever, turned on the main street in downtown Dallas there, okay? On the back of that presidential limo, there's 2 foot stands, one on one side, one on the other. That's for Secret Service agents to stand there, riding on the back of the limo in case they have to throw themselves onto the president to protect the president. Okay, the video clearly shows as they turned the Secret Service car behind his presidential limo, okay? You see this hand come out of this Secret Service car waving to the agent that was supposed to be standing on the back of the car, okay? And he's waved off, and the agent just throwing his hands up in the air like, what the hell? Why are you ordering me off the car? A few seconds later, his head gets blown off. So he was in the line of sight, so they had to get rid of him. They got the Secret Service agent in order to get a clear shot, whichever angle it came from. But there it is. They're supposed to be right there on that car every second, but they just, hey, why are you pulling me off? He just throws his hands up like, gee.
Well, there are so many things that were just not even addressed. All as he's driving down the road, all those buildings, all the open windows, all the the security that was called off, the people that were just sent out of the state while that was happening. There's so many steps that had happened in order to create this scenario that and then they had that one guy up there with his little bolt action, and they're going to put it all on him. It's kind of comical.
That's just also saying like the Oklahoma City bombing, okay? Change conspiracies for a second. All right. They claimed that bomb outside in that truck, that Ryder truck or whatever it was, destroyed this building, okay? Now, they have documented pictures of it. You all know what columns are in a building. That's what holds the floors up in a building. I have construction experience. Now, they showed that the rebarb, if you know what rebarb is, it's steel bars running up and down the columns to help reinforce the concrete. Okay, what they showed was that the rebarb was bent in. No, it was bent out, excuse me. It was bent out. That means that the explosion came from the inside, because if the explosion came from the outside, the rebarb would be bent in, indicating it came from the outside. The buildings across the street, the windows were just blown out. That's called a shock wave. Wasn't damaged, just a city street, just the width of a city street. Okay? And this bomb, a fertilizer bomb, is omnidirectional. That means that it blows up with equal force, 360 degrees, up and down included. You can't make a directional bomb out of a bunch of manure and stuff, and fertilizer and all that stuff that they supposedly did this deal. Now,
so what's your take on what they use?
Equally, my take is they use shake charges, okay, around the columns to weaken the columns, because eyewitness report, the first responders to the scene, in fact, they have it on video or audio saying there's still a bomb in the building. Wow, still a bomb in the building? And the bomb squad was already there. I mean, they was right there just within a few minutes, like they've been told. Hey, be ready. Get your gear ready. We're going. Something's going to happen. And funny, that day, no federal agents were in that building. Yes, there was employees, just federal employees, daycare workers, children, obviously. But there was no federal agents in there. They was told, don't show up for work that particular day. Please.
And the building was closed that weekend, and even security was ordered away, weren't they?
Yeah. So where's the surveillance tapes? Okay, there's cameras on every corner, every entrance, every hallway. I've installed CCTV, closed circuit television. Okay, even in the bathroom they got cameras in there, for God's sakes. Okay, but that footage just conveniently disappeared. What does that footage show? Just like when the footage of the airplane hitting the Pentagon disappeared. The black boxes, when it hit those towers, disappeared. Couldn't get the information. Oh, we're so sorry. Okay? There's just something, it just doesn't make sense. Something rotten in Denmark.
Did you guys ever see with the old school $20 bills, I believe it was, that if you folded it into a certain, you folded it in a certain way to make it into a shape of an airplane, that pulling those two sides together created a scene of the Twin Towers and halfway down exploding.
I've seen that.
That's absolutely insane how much that looks like that scenario that played out, printed on the money of a $20 bill.
Wow.
And you can only get that image if you fold the $20 bill into a form of an airplane.
That is crazy.
I don't know
that
how.
Sounds kind of weird, don't it?
This stuff is. I mean, it's. When I was in kindergarten, I played the telephone game. We can't get a sentence to last to 15 people without it coming out without a single word right. Yet somehow we're giving people enough credit to keep these stories a secret and not tell anybody. And people. That's the one thing I don't get is that it's so hard to keep a secret. It's so hard to keep this stuff. I don't know. I don't understand how. I think we give them too much credit. But I mean, when you see something like the old school $20 bill folded into a shape of an airplane, and it looks like the Twin Towers getting blown up, that's absolutely.
Is that coincidence? Is it coincidence, though? I mean, you can take something that might look believable or may make somebody believe into something, but it's not really a factual thing to believe in. Do you know what I mean?
Well, you're saying it's psychopathic. You're making your mind see something.
Exactly.
But that looked pretty much like what happened, though.
Well, yeah, but I mean, it can look that way. But I mean, you can't build a historic event around the shape of a $20 bill going into a picture. Do you know what I mean? Kind of, sort of. They didn't make that picture after folding the $20 bill. Before the events of 9/11 happened.
Unless
do you know what I mean?
People that came back from the future.
Well, that's
do you see any DeLoreans or anything around there?
It's weird that you'd say that you can't hide something, like that in plain sight. The first thing that came to my mind when you said that was the fact that the whole capital area of Washington, D.C., if you take an aerial shot, it's got all the symbols laid out in the buildings and the street structure. All the Freemason signs are there. You've got basically all of them.
Well, what she's also referring to, she probably didn't know it, but you know what hologram technology is, okay? With lasers. Back in the 80s, there was a laser imaging system called the Sumastar laser imaging system. I mean, this joker, you could put anything up in the room with these lasers. Anything you wanted. Picture, I don't care what it is. Okay? It's not real. It's just a projected situation using these lasers. Now, that was back in the early 80s now. What do you think they got now? Could it be a real airplane? Could it be? And a flying a beer can, and that's what a commercial aircraft is, because it's made out of beer can aluminum, aircraft aluminum, is going to penetrate that building, even going at 600 miles an hour. I don't care how fast it's going, and then take out do that kind of damage. Now remember, in a commercial aircraft, in most aircrafts, where's the fuel tanks? They're on the wings, called bladders. Okay. Now, as soon as that thing hit, the jet fuel exploded. Okay. Jet fuel is only a high-grade kerosene. Okay. It does have explosive capabilities in a confined area. And you see the big old black fire that come out the other side. Okay. It did not have time to weaken the steel structure, the superstructure that's holding the floors up apart from each other. You would have to have a blowtorch, almost a cutting torch. Okay. Everybody knows what a cutting torch is. It cuts steel. The steel that was holding the building up had at least 2 layers of fireproofing. That means 1 hour fireproofing per layer. So you would have to sit there and take a blowtorch for at least 2 hours to heat that steel up to where it would even weaken it, and especially melt it to a point where it would totally collapse. And if it did collapse, you would have to equally superstructure in that building to let that thing to come down perfect, just exactly what it did. Because if you only heated just a certain area, the thing would just break off. The top section of that building would break off. Makes sense, logical sense. And two buildings that weighed 500,000 tons apiece blew away in the wind. It just blew away. There should have been at least a 200-foot rubble pile left, but there wasn't. What about the toilets? What about the porcelain sinks and everything else? The filing cabinets, the desk, the thousands and thousands, tens of thousands of feet of electrical wiring, electrical cable, elevator winches that weigh 5 tons apiece, cables that run the elevators up and down, the elevator cars. There was 114 in each building around that area. Okay, where are they? Show me.
So where would you say stuff like that went? Just blown off, or?
Well, it was, like I said earlier when I said look up molecular disassociation. When you counter the physical force that holds everything together, that means me, you, your computer, desk, your pet, your tree outside, everything is held together by an electrical force on the molecular level. Now, if you can neutralize that force just for a few seconds, everything would just fly apart. You would fly apart. Okay? Your dog would fly apart. Your computer would fly apart. And blow away in the wind. Remember Tesla?
Yeah.
Hint, hint. Back to you.
Wow.
Well, yeah, but I did hear in trying to explain the explosion and where all that heat came from. I thought I heard rumor that somebody on one of the planes had a pocket full of bag stamps. So those can go out pretty hot and heavy. If you've ever thrown a box of bang snaps on the ground, that can get pretty insane.
Yeah, that's true. But remember, it doesn't burn intense enough to heat and melt solid steel, and it takes 1,800 degrees on a direct point, just like a cutting torch. Now, remember how a cutting torch works. You've got two tanks. You've got a small tank, and it's called acetylene gas. That's a hot burning gas, but it's not hot enough to melt steel. Okay, you have to have the large tank, which is O2, which is oxygen, and you have to combine the two in that torch head, because that's why if you ever see a torch burn, you'll see it burn blue. That's super hot. It's not red or it's not white. White is the hottest. Blue is next. Okay, but it has to sit there, and you got to sit there and heat that steel up before it gets to its melting point, which is around 1,800 degrees. Feeding it constantly with the oxygen. Now, the windows blew out, the walls blew out, the force of the explosion of that fuel exploding went in one side and right out the other. Because eyewitness reports, firefighters, even witnesses that actually made it out of the place, said they were just pockets of fire. It wasn't a raging inferno in there, because if it was, the firefighters wouldn't even get near it, and those people sure wouldn't survive that got out of there. Okay. There have businesses all over the world, look them up, where skyscrapers have caught on fire and has burned for a week. A raging inferno. Okay? And the superstructure still stands. So that ought to prove something right there.
I want to take just a moment to try and get to someone who's trying to call in. It looks like it's Phil Lapati. You're on the air with Dr. John.
Phil Platt.
Platt, sorry about that.
That's okay. I just tuned in minutes ago, and now are you possibly talking about the possibility of a energy weapon that destroyed the Twin Towers?
Yes, a directional energy weapon based on Tesla technology.
Right, like Dr. Judy Wood on her site explains.
On her website?
Yeah. Yeah, because, when I turned on the television on 9/11 and first saw the pictures of the Twin Towers falling and disintegrating, I immediately thought the aliens had finally invaded. And, of course, after they showed the pictures of the planes hitting the Twin Towers, I kind of dismissed the fact that those things pulverized and
exactly.
Just kind of stuck it in the back of my mind for, of course, the next 8 years. And then I heard about Dr. Judy Wood, and I was like, oh.
I mean, you know, it sounds crazy, you know, to any other person would say it would sound crazy. But remember, the government's kind of oddball. And like you said, you think they're going to let Tesla technologies that sit on some shelf getting dusty? I don't think so. Okay? Yeah, everybody knows how a firecracker works. You pop them on 4th of July, right? A firecracker works because it's a very small amount of powder tightly wrapped in a container. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Now, if those if those floors were tightly enclosed, airtight, now that fuel throwing it in at 600 miles an hour and the speed of the jet supposed to flying, yeah, it may have time and air and the oxygen, maybe too weak in it. But with 2 layers of fireproofing on the steel, and the thing is just an open space after everything blew out. Remember, the walls in those office buildings like that are only made out of sheetrock. Okay? Sheetrock won't burn. Paper on it will burn, obviously. But the sheetrock itself won't burn. And once it blows out, you got a whole clear deal, unless it's concentrated. Remember the word, concentrated. Yeah. So the thing caught fire, blew apart, blew out, the force of it blew out the other side. There you have it.
When anybody who tries to... Oh, sorry about that. I was just going to say, anybody who ever tries to raise light to this or go on MSNBC or CNN is immediately normally yelled out. And then Michael Moore, I believe it was, got in a fight with, is it Dick Wolf? I'd have to look it up, but he got in a huge fight with him about it.
Yeah. Yeah, if the government has...
Exactly. And go ahead.
If they have the technology to put up all these spacecraft that I believe is what the explanation for UFOs is, I've seen several of them, you know, that clearly aren't normal planes, you know, then they've definitely got a lot of stuff that, you know, classified.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Everything, you know, that's what they classified in the name of national security. Here's another little interesting tidbit a lot of people didn't know. Now, on those aircrafts, those are commercial aircrafts, okay? 737s or 727s or something like that. All right. If you have any flight experience in those things as a pilot, I've talked to plenty of pilots, okay? Now, when an aircraft is flying with the pilot in control, the avionics on a commercial aircraft like that cannot. The avionics will not allow the pilot, PIC, pilot in control, in the hot seat, which is usually the left seat, to do all kinds of crazy maneuvers. They're called banking. When you turn an aircraft in flight, it's called banking or diving when it goes down. It clearly shows on radar that these aircrafts were doing all these crazy maneuvers that normally would not happen if the pilot was still in control. Now, NORAD, I think it was back in the 70s, they put in all commercial aircraft that in case that a commercial airliner was ever hijacked, the pilot, all he has to do is flip a switch, and he doesn't have control of that aircraft anymore. Okay, because the avionics, the onboard avionics takes over by remote control. You've seen little remote control airplanes, you know, radio controlled airplanes. Same technology that's used, only on a bigger scale, obviously. So these aircraft was banking and turning and diving and all kinds of crap. And do you honestly think that a pilot, an experienced veteran pilot, would intentionally fly his aircraft into a building like that? Would you go in your car and intentionally, unless you was crazy, ran her car into a restaurant or a school building? Well, hell no. I'd put it in the ditch before. I'd
Yeah.
kill hundreds of people or whatever. So that kind of goes to show that that pilot wasn't in control of that aircraft. Because if he was, the people in the back would be puking their guts up, okay, because of the G-forces that aircraft can do it, yes. That aircraft can do all these crazy maneuvers. But all those passengers that you're responsible for as the pilot in control or pilot in command, they'd be puking their guts up because they couldn't handle the G-force. Go up in a Cessna 150. I've got flight experience in a Cessna 150. And you dive that joker, okay? Holy tamale, you better go back and get your stomach because it will make you sick the first time. And these people, they're just bouncing around, just like ping pong balls up there. So they didn't get sick. Nobody complained. That kind of stuff. And where's the black boxes? Where's the black boxes? These black boxes are designed to withstand a direct crash. Explosion, crash, whatever. And a lot of people don't know this either, that in a commercial aircraft you have two black boxes. You just don't have one. You have one that's located behind the pilot's seat, and you also have another black box that is located at the very end of the tail section. So the odds are that one will survive, at least. Or are they? Why couldn't the data be gotten off of when they can take your computer hard drive, and I don't care if you erase it, if you reformat, they got software out there that can get everything off of your hard drive. That's why you never throw your computer away without taking a sledgehammer to your hard drive. Back to you.
Well, yeah, and it's that's a good point. And then another good point is, how were 10 of the alleged terrorists that were supposedly on the plane and on the FBI's most wanted list, they show up and they're alive and well after 9/11. I don't know if anybody's ever dug into that, but
yeah, and they're going to take over an aircraft with a laser knife. And you've got the pilot, you've got the co-pilot, you've got at least 2 flight engineers sitting right in the cockpit. And these guys are going to take over, and nobody's going to have sight, and they're not going to be trying to stop them. What about the passengers? Why didn't the male passengers jump up and tackle these people? They only have box cutters.
I want to take just a moment to thank everybody that was on today. Special thanks to Captain Jack and Whiskey and Jesse Hart. We've only got 2 minutes left on the show now, so I want to make sure that I thanked everybody for coming out, and I hope I didn't miss anybody.
Yeah, that was pretty fun. That's a pretty cool topic. I like this stuff.
Yeah, I think we're going to have to do another show of this. So if you guys are game and you're willing to come back tomorrow, we'll go ahead and do an episode 2 of this tomorrow, because we really just scratched the surface on this stuff, and I'd like to dig in tomorrow and go a little bit deeper into them, because I think today we highlighted the topics, but we didn't really go into them a lot. And what I'd like to do is invite everybody back to come on tomorrow, and we'll definitely dig in a part 2 and tear apart some of these issues.
Yeah, it sounds like a good time. Sounds good.
All right, and then we got a last-minute caller that unfortunately I'm not going to be able to get on the air today because there's only a minute left. But again, thanks to everybody, and we will see you again tomorrow. We're out of time. We're ending early because they're doing maintenance on a couple of the sites that we're broadcasting. There's my warning in my ear to get out the air. So thanks everybody for listening to the Dr. John Show.
Go to the chat room.
And there you go. Yeah, go to the chat room. We're all going there now. www.thegigapig.com, and then click on After Dark Bar. You'll see the listing there. We'll see you there, and we'll post the link in the chat room right now.
Have a good night, guys.
Hey, guys. This is Ashley. For a one-on-one consultation with Dr. John, visit him online at www.nightflirt.com/Dr. John. Don't have a pen? Don't worry. The link is on our Blog Talk homepage. You must be 18 years or older to call.
the V, that's all, folks.